We are here to work on vocabulary through mnemonics. And my name is Rakesh Kumar Sharma on CAT. We are have scored 99.6 percentile on GRE. It was 330. This is the link using which you can directly reach to my page on Unacademy. So moving further, we have here some agenda for the month of January. So we will take excerpts from these newspapers, the Hindu, the Indian Express, Times of India, and we would try to work on vocabulary. We'll try to work on GDPIs. We'll try to work on the passages, etc., with the help of the articles which we see here, right? And there would also be a few more newspapers which uh, we would be looking at. That would be Hindustan Times, Business Standard, Economic Times. In addition to this, I would also go to the articles which are there, or something, a kind of a reading material which is there on some of the famous magazines from where CAT, etc., they extract their passages. So, for example, Scientific American will go to, we'll also read New Yorker, Atlantis, right? These magazines, and we'll also try to have something from the world of philosophy and some novels, and we'll try to understand that how vocabulary can further be made more interesting. Of course, here with the help of mnemonics, we would try to learn the words, but I would also want to tell you that in learning vocabulary, there are two different ends here, right? So, one end is the working on the words as a group, right? So, when we try to make groups of these words, one kind of a group that could be created can be termed as synonyms, right? The group of synonyms. Second group that we may create would be of word roots, and then we can have homophones or homonyms, but there we are not actually able to create a title for that entire group, right? Now, the moment I say title for one entire group, within that title we have many words, right? It means if we try to move from word to that name of the title, right, and from title of that group to the particular word, so there are two directions which are possible, right? So at home, you can ask someone in your family to help you in learning further by telling them that okay, they'll ask you a word and probably you have to tell the name of that group, right? So that is the entire journey. So from A to B and from B to A, that has to happen frequently, right? If that movement does not happen, probably you will not be able to cross check yourself, or you are not able to gain confidence. The the movement, or the idea of learning words in isolation, that is very cumbersome, right? That is a burdensome idea. Why it turns burdensome? Because there we have to learn one word, and to that word just one meaning, right? So that's only one word that you have learned. On the contrary, if you move towards the synonyms, creating groups there, then for one title, right, one idea, you have learned several words. Those several words can be 4, 5, 10, whatever. All right. The moment you start writing the close by words, right, you start gaining confidence there, right? And that is what happens with the moment we start reading any newspaper. So this afternoon we were doing one activity in which we read one article that occurred this morning on the Hindu. So it used words, so that was written by Arun Kumar, and the article was about the current economic crisis that the country is facing. So there was one word that was stagnation. Now, the moment we come across this word stagnation, then what are the other words which we can think about? Right? We can think about impasse, we can think about a standstill, we can think about deadlock, right? We can think about gridlock, right? So synonyms are occurring now one after another, right? And in this manner, then there can also be recession that could be talked about, right? So what I mean is that the moment we have grasp over the synonyms, right, then, when we move towards a standalone word and we cross check in our reverse movement from the word to the title of the word group, right? That synonym group, then we would be able to identify whether we forget those words or not, right? Or whether we are able to imbibe those words or not. So with that, we can say that uh, we would be able to cross check the things. So moving further, uh, there are certain classes which we are planning for the month of January, and some of you have already provided your inputs about the topics. In case you come across some topic and you want me to cover those topics, I would be really happy and glad to help you out, right? So some of the topics which I already have in mind would be GD, GD topics, GDPI, personal interview. So, as I already discussed, that I plan to give you some ready notes with the help of which you can do well on the exam. You have something, already available to you with the help of which you can perform during your GDs and during your PIs. So, we also plan to do do's and don'ts of GDs and PIs. So all that is there in the mind, and along with that, some VARC, and now we will make it exam specific, right? This VARC exam specific. So I plan to do regular vocabulary classes. I plan to do reading comprehension, that is there in the mind. Anyways, as in during this journey, I welcome you to suggest the topics, right? And I would further be glad to help you out there. So these are the timings, right? So 10 a.m., 2 p.m. These are the regular classes. 12:30, 10 p.m. special classes. 6 p.m., 8 p.m. YouTube classes, right? So these are the timings. This is the referral code. This probably you can ask your friends to use to get 10% discount. These are the steps using which your friends can, actually avail the subscription of or provide subscription provided by Unacademy. So all this is there. This is about me, right? So you can certainly go through it, right? And this probably would be, of much importance to you. So on CAD, we are say I got 99.6 percentile, and GRE score I got 330. I have delivered sessions at number of places, and I was also associated with the time. I've got certificate from British Council and Duke University. More than 14 years I have devoted to the field. So, moving further, there is one picture, right, and there is one tailor, and this tailor is measuring. He is trying to measure the probably the fitting he wants to measure here. So there is a question. The question says, if your tailor does wrong alteration of your dress, what do you do, or what would you do? There's little typos here, so in a hurry I typed this, so I missed on some words, right? So if your tailor does something wrong, right, as an on the alteration, so probably if you have given your suit to get stitched to a tailor, you visited the tailor and the tailor was again, measuring the length, etc., all that, you say that, the fitting is not proper, right, etc. So the tailor would say that, oh, I have to, stitch it further, I have to make it tight, or I have to loosen it, right? All those things. If he has done that wrong and after a time he turns adamant, no, I will not do it, what will happen then? Will you say that, oh, you are such a good person, I really, appreciate the way you did everything, or you'll say, बॉस क्या चल रहा है, राइट? ऐसे कैसे होगा, ये तो करना पड़ेगा, राइट? Would you go ahead with that? Of course will get angry, right? So if you get angry, you'll say, the moment there is So we have Kumar Pranadeep who's here. Good evening, Pranav. Good evening, Ria. Welcome to the class. So do respond here, right? Whatever that comes to your mind with respect to the questions which I ask, right, or the questions which you see on the screen, do respond. So if your tailor does something wrong alteration, right, so you have given him your dress to get altered. If he does a mistake there, would you get angry with your tailor, right? Most probably will get angry, provided the person is not a yogi, etc. Yogi in the sense of someone who does yoga. So that would be a different scenario. Otherwise, most of us will get angry, right? Yogis do not get angry, right? So they have a lot of balance in their behavior and attitude, and they turn out to be a little stoic, right? But otherwise, we'll say that most of us will turn angry. The word here that we can learn with the help of alteration, right? So this is the word alteration, right? If to this word I add, right? So I have ALTER, right? This much we have got alter. Now what I'm doing is I'm adding one alphabet C here, and everything remains same, right? Everything remains the same. So we have got one word, altercation, right? Altercation, that is a fight, right? That is a fight, altercation. So I believe you would be able to remember this word altercation by remembering alteration, right? So alteration should take you to altercation, right? Moving further, so at the moment, what I'm doing is I'm giving you stand alone words, right? First, we'll look at stand alone words. From these stand alone words, we'll also try to go to a group, right? So we'll create a group, right? We'll create a group, right? And then we'll try to see how can we communicate between standalone group and a group, right? By saying group, I mean I would be giving you a title for that group. So at the moment, let's say a very simple title that we keep for this word altercation, that is fight, right? Fight, right? That, let's say, is the name for this group, right? So altercation. So now we are going to keep this idea in mind that okay, for fight I can use altercation, right? So if you happen to see that the next word also appears to be a word related to fight, right? You will write in the comment box that this also is related to fight, right? Okay, so we have some explanation about the word. So it says a noisy argument, right? A noisy argument for altercation. It is a noun, and of course, it is going to be negative, right? So altercation is a nicer word for quarrel, right? So in place of quarrel, you can use this word, altercation. So of course, altercation is a fight, right? We know that altercation is a fight, which is a nicer word for fight, right? So to this entire group, right, to this entire group, we can keep, I mean, for this group or these words together now, we are going to remember one word, fight. For fight, we have learned one word, altercation. We also know one word, that is quarrel, right? We can look at this sentence. This sentence says, judging from all the slamming and banging, I would say there was some sort of altercation going on next door, right? So through the sounds, etc., right? Through these sounds, it was guessed by one individual that there was altercation, one fight that was going on next door. So the person was judging, right? From grammar, you know that when you have verb plus ing occurring in the beginning, right? It turns into the beginning of a cause. After the comma, you will have one effect given to you, right? In the place of this, you can also have by verb plus ing given to you, and again, you would have a cause given to you here further, and then the effect would occur. So this is how your sentence construction can be. You can also have because here, right? Because, and then you may have I'm going to this after reading on this example, this judging, right? Judging. So because comma effect, right? Now you can also write the effect first, right? Then say by verb plus ing and cause. You can also say the same thing for the other two sentences. In place of because, you can also come across as, for, since. All these words could be used, right? So all the words which indicate the presence of a cause, right? To talk about the presence of the cause, with the conditions, we also use when, right? Or if, right? These are also the words which we use to talk about the cause. So moving further, we have here this man, right? This man, he has been thrown on his car, and he is the biker, right? He is the biker, and this man is the car owner, right? Is the car owner. So it says is the biker fighting with the car owner, right? Do you think that the person is fighting with the bike owner? Is your answer yes? Yes, it looks like that the person is fighting with the uh, car owner, right? So Kumar Pranav Deep, he said UP's CM will get probably okay. All right. So so from this word biker, so I think he was talking about the previous word, right? So with biker, can I say? I'm so sorry. So the sound came from the mobile phone where I was trying to track the comments which have been written here by people. So from biker, we can remember one word, B I, right? B I C, C, right? I'm writing the C, right, differently because I'm only adding the C here, and we have K-A-R, right? So bicker, right? Bicker. So the word that we get is bicker, and from biker we can remember this word bicker. So bicker is to argue about unimportant details, uh, like children do, right? So let's say there are two children, right? There are two children, and they are inside, say, a car, right? And they they are talking about that I want to take this window seat, right? And they are fighting here. So to argue about unimportant things like children do, that is bicker, right? Altercation, the second word that we have gone to is bicker. So what we see here is that it is a verb, right? It is a verb. Of course, again, it is going to be negative because what we have guessed is that it again belongs to the group fight. For fight, you have got at the moment altercation, and the second word bicker, right? Second word bicker. So from biker, you can remember this. So when you bicker, you argue in a petty way, like two kids squabbling. So this squabbling is also a word, right? Squabbling is also a word. So squabbling is also used for for bickering, squabbling. So two children, they're fighting about something. Say they are fighting about chocolate, so squabbling. So it also says that like two kids are squabbling in a backseat on a long car trip, or politicians are taking cheap shots at each other, but avoiding discussion of important issues, right? So if they avoid the discussion of important issues, so for example, our PM recently at the association of industries, right? Sorry, commerce and associated chambers of commerce and industry, right? The ACCI. So what he said that he is very optimistic, while the RBI governor, he said that he is not very hopeful about the existing situations in our economy. So he says that the problems are structural, right? And of course, the problems are structural till the time people at the grassroots level they are not, uh, you know, provided any facility, the things are going to loom in the same manner, right? So avoiding discussion, right, of important issue, right, avoiding discussion of important issue, but only, right, only taking cheap shots, right, taking cheap shots uh, at each other. So that means simply wasting time, in other words. So bickering, so bickering is also fighting, right, and avoiding the important discussion, important point. So that is bicker. So we can go to one example which is given to here, given to us here, that is after a prolonged bicker they finally managed to find a movie that both of them were interested in watching, right, or seeing. So that is bicker. So for fight you can use altercation and bicker. All right, let's, so we have also learned one word squabbling here, right? Squabble, right? We'll also do this word further, right? So squabble. Moving further, we have here, which movie is it? Which movie is it? Are you able to recall this movie? So which movie is it? So we have Shahid Kapoor in this, and what this Shahid Kapoor is doing here, right? What Shahid Kapoor is doing here? He is of course fighting, right? He is fighting here, Shahid Kapoor. There was a scene after Holi, right? After Holi, something happened, right, in the movie. So a man, there was a man who was beaten by Shahid Kapoor. This movie is, uh, oh, I have already given the name of the movie, that is Kabir Singh, right? Kabir Singh. So it says, do you remember the fight or bawal, right? So, here in North India for a fight, we also use this word babal. So, do you remember the fight babal that happened in the movie Kabir Singh? So, yes, we do remember, right? We do. So, from this babal, can you remember a word brawl, right? So, the word is BRAWL, brawl, right? So, brawl almost sounds like bawal, right? So, you can say that it is also fight. So, brawl is again a negative word. It is both used as noun and verb. So, it is a noisy argument, right? Involving many people, especially in public place. Especially in public place. So, if you see here, is it a public place? Is it a public place? This one, this scene here, right, where Shahid Kapoor is beating the person, is it a public place? We'll say yes, it is a public place, right? So in a public place, he beats the opponent here, right? So we can say that here a bar fight is a brawl. So a fight that happens in a bar, right? That is bar would be considered as a public place. So if any noisy argument or fighting, etc., all that is happening there would be considered as brawl. A fight in the cafeteria, which turns into a free for all, right? Free for all. So the others as well, they see they want to uh, you know, they want to hit someone or they have some kind of a stress, etc. So I mean, free for all can also be called a brawl. A brawl is a noisy fight in a crowd, right? So here we can say that fans were brawling in the streets after the game, right? So they were fighting, they were in a noisy argument, right, in the street after the game. So that is brawl. Moving further, we have, so that means now you have learned with the fight, you have learned altercation, you have learned bicker. With altercation, that was the tailor. With the bicker, that was the biker. For squabble, we haven't seen anything as of now, right? No mnemonic that we have seen, right? And with the brawl, we have seen that Babal, and we have seen the photographs or the pictures of Shahid Kapoor from Kabir Singh. And now again we have movie pictures here. So you see one movie picture, that is Uri, right? That is Uri. So this one, right? Can you guess the name of this movie? Can you guess the name of this movie? And this one here, we see Hrithik Roshan, right? And he is carrying a gun. In the background, again, we have those guns here, right? In the background, we see guns. Can you guess the movie? Who's this heroine? Is so she looks like Preeti Zinta, right? And in the background there are guns, right? This man, right? This man is Virat Kohli. He is Virat Kohli, and he is hitting with his bat, right? So it is one India Pakistan match, right? It is India Pakistan match, and he is hitting, right? Hitting with his bat. So he's not talking much. Come baat, right? Come baat, surf bat, right? Use surf bat. So come baat, with that you can remember a word that is combat, right? The word is combat, and this is also related to fight, right? So this movie is Lakshya, right? This is Lakshya movie, and this is also from Lakshya, right? So Lakshya movie, Uri, and many other such movies, LOC, they all talk about fight, right? So whenever we say that the fight is turning a professional fighting, right? War, right? Fighting a war is combating a war, fighting a war, combating a war, right? So we can say combat. So we have here combat, that is fighting in a wartime, right? So you can use this both as a verb and a noun, right? And again it turns negative. So it says that combat is a fighting between two groups of armed forces, right? So that means it turns into a professional fight, right? But it has also been used, we have read it on the newspapers, that combat, right? So the Indian team did combat, right, during the match, etc. So that means a kind of a fight which is happening, right? But there it would be only for winning the match, right? So when you engage in combat, typically this means you engage in fighting that involves weapons. Otherwise, so the authentic use of the word or the real usage of the word takes us towards using the weapons when we use the word combat, right? Combating. So here is one example. It says some of these soldiers have never seen combat, right? They have never seen a combat. So that means a real war. So now we have got altercation, bicker, we have got brawl, combat, squabble. Right. Let's go further. We have here we see that image of Imran Khan. Right. So we have Imran Khan here. He is the PM of our neighboring state country, that is Pakistan. So it says that if you have less content, right, when a person has less content to support, right, or when you have less content to support your point, what you may do to win this speech, what you would do. So your opponent, if this is you, right, if this is you, right, this is you, and here is your opponent, right, the opponent is also saying something. So what you would do now? So opponent gave point 1, right, point 1. What you would do? You will contend now. So you would try to you would struggle, you would struggle, you'll fight, you'll go against, you'll go against on that point, right, on that point, and you'll go against your opponent. Right, if he's giving you point 1, so you'll try to negate that point if you're running short on content. So you're fighting, and with this we can get a word that is contend, T-E-N-D, right, content. So one more word that we have got here, content. So with content, we can say struggle in a fight, right? So struggle in opposition, we get all this. So the sentence here says to contend with the enemy for control of the port. So if our Indian Navy, which is there near the seashore, and they see some kind of doubtful activity happening, and they get in, they get active, right? Now they contend with the enemy for control of the port, right? So recently all this was happening with the China, right? And we also watched one movie where there was one submarine. I'm forgetting the name. I'm forgetting the name. Uh, so there as well, that contend thing happened, right? A struggle in a fight. So let's go further to the next slide here. So what it gives us, so we see that there is a man. Can you name this person? Who's this man? Who's this man? Can you name this person? So this man appears to be Lalu, right? So he is LP Yadav, right? He is LP Yadav, Lalu Prasad Yadav, and and we can say that here the question is politics full of fraud and scams? Your answer will be yes, many of the times. That's what we have observed. That's what we have seen. What people do after committing the fraud, right? What they do after committing the fraud. What happens to common masses after the fraud? So after committing the fraud, probably the person will run away, right? Probably the person would run away, or we may say, the common masses are neglected, right? After the fraud, the common masses are neglected. Here as well, it gives us some kind of a picture, right? So it gives us uh, like Nirav. Yes, 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 Pranav, like Nirav. So what we may see here, there are some words, some very big words which are used. Extortion, right? We see extortion, we see big business, and there are dollars going into media. So media is paid, right? All those things are happening, and there is a propaganda that starts. There is electorate, right? And then we have then politicians, right, elected, etc. So all this is happening. So with all of this, what we can say is there is some kind of word that would be derived from this fraud that we will try to get, right? So fraud and scams, right? So can we remember this fraud and scam, right? Fraud and scam. After this, would there be a chaos? Yes. If we talk about the kind of development that happened during Lalu Prasad Yadav's rule in Bihar, right? That was pathetic, right? We did not see any development. The roads were in poor condition. It was just recently that some, we see that it is at least now in somewhat good state, right? So I recently happened to visit Patna and for some work, and I saw that it was good, right? It was not good. It was not like what we started thinking about Bihar, right? So with that, we can say that there is a chaos which is occurring, a chaos, right? A chaos, and with this chaos, with these words together, right, we'll say that there is fracas. There is fracas. The word is fracas, right? So fraud and scam. With that, if we can remember, right? If we can remember fracas, that's one way. So you can remember. You can also say that uh, Lalu ji brought fracas or caused fracas in Bihar, right? Sorry, this Bihar, right? In Bihar. So we have the word fracas here. It means a noisy argument again, right? A noisy argument involving many people. A noisy argument involving many people, fracas. So if your marching band gets into a fight with another school's pep squad, your principal might say the fracas was, that means that entire fight and chaos was uncalled for. That means it was not needed. It was not needed, uncalled for, and undignified, right? A fracas is noisy quarrel, right? Noisy quarrel. So we are trying to remember this with the help of Laluji's face, right? So Laluji brought he was involved into fraud and scam, and from fraud and scam we are trying to get this word fracas. Of course, there were many noisy arguments which happened in the parliament, right? So parliament and media, right? Parliament and media. With them, there was a fracas that Laluji picked up, right? Noisy argument, right? So let's go to, and we can also talk about the word roots. So frac and frag, they take us towards break, right? Break. They mean break. So with frag, you can create a word such as, you may say fracture, right? Fracture. You may say fractious, so something that would cause a division. So fractious, you can say fraction as well, right? So frag and frac take us towards break. So although you may say that it is a little difficult, but revision is required, right? Revision is required. When I say that it is a fraud, and when I say that it was fraud and scam, you know so I believe you would be able to remember it the moment you are able to remember the word fraud, etc. All this. So not a difficult word as such. Association may turn difficult here, right, on this. But I believe that it turns interesting the moment we have pictorial representation for the words and the questions of this kind created, right? It turns interesting. So I believe that revision would not take a lot of time here, right? So we also have one sentence here. It says, police preparing for any fracas, right? Any kind of a fight, chaos that might follow the soccer game, right? So again, that with that chaos, etc., right? Or a noisy argument. So police was preparing for any fracas that might follow this soccer game. That means a football, right? Football championship. It is talking about that. So soccer is for football championship. Now we have this word, and we are able to read the name here. The name is Bruce Lee, right? And this man, Donnie Yen. So me, right? He is saying me, right? Me versus Bruce Lee. So with me versus Bruce Lee, we can say Millie, right? We can get this word Millie. So L double E, right? L double E take us towards Bruce Lee and me towards Donnie Yen. And if that is the thing, me versus Bruce Lee, what we may expect, of course, fight, right? We can expect a fight. At the moment, you have done many words for fight, right? So can you recall what are the words? You can give me all the words except squabble at the moment, right? So can you give me the words? Are you able to recall the pictures? So there was one tailor's picture. So what is the word that you can recall with that tailor? With the tailor, you did altercation. Altercation with the tailor. And after that, I gave you a picture of there was a biker and a car owner. So biker, from that biker, we learned the word bicker. Bicker, right? After that, we learnt the word with the help of the pictures from the movie Kabir Singh, and we were saying Bawal, Bawal. So with that Bawal, Brawl, right? And we also then went to the pictures uh, from Kargil. There was Preeti Zinta, there was Ritik, right? And there was Virat Kohli there, right? So combat, right? So we did that, and then we saw one picture of that Imran Khan, right? And it was saying that what would you do if you do not have enough content, right? If you do not have enough content for your uh, speech, what would you do? So that got us a word So Pranav is saying, although many people say that he was a good railway minister, yes, 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 yes. So we were talking about that Imran Khan, and with Imran Khan, we went on to contending, right? Contend. So we got the word from content that we saw, and after that, we moved to Laluji, right? With the Laluji, we learned the word fracas, right? And after that, we are here where we have Bruce Lee, right? So Millie, right? Millie is the word here. Okay, so let's see what. Let's try to check some sentences. So it says melee is a situation in which a crowd of a people, right, rush or push each other in a confused way, right? So melee, right? Melee. So a melee is a noisy, free for all, right? Free for all, rowdy fight, and no holds barred battle royal, if you will, right? So it's what pro wrestlers engage in every night, and shoppers endure at the toy store every holiday season. So melee, right? Melee. So it's a situation in which crowd of people rush or push in a confused way. So they fight. They fight. So here is one sentence. It says a verbal disagreement at the football game soon turned into a general melee involving scores of spectators. Right. So scores of spectators. That means many. Right. Numberless or in numbers. Right. Or a number of. Right. That means uh, without any count, countless, uncountable, right? Scores. As such, score takes us towards. So one word that is used to talk about numbers is also dozen. Another one is score. With dozen, we talk about 12, and with score, we talk about 21, right? 21. So that is score. So moving further, we have here. So moving further, we have a word. Okay, so I was trying to look at the comments on the chat. So here we have very interesting picture, right? So here we see chocolates, right? We see chocolates here, and we see, so there are children, right? They are fighting, right? So the hand of one child is on the face of another one, and their hands, right? Hand of this hand here, right? Hand of this boy and hand of this girl, right? They both are trying to reach this burger, right? So they're fighting. So, what we have as a question here is, if children query or question and babble. So, babble is to speak a lot, babble. Probably when we babble, it does not have any sense, right? So, that is babbling. So, question and babble for a chocolate, can they start a fight with each other? The answer, of course, would turn into yes, right? So, we are saying that here question, right? So there is a word question used here, or query which has been used here, question or query plus babble, right? Plus babble, and with this we want to reach, a word that is quibble. Quibble, right? Quibble, quibble, right? So quibble is one word. So we may come across this word here, and on RCs, etc. There can be moments when these words could be used, and at times, if we have not heard of these words, they may cause some challenge to our understanding, right? Or at least there would be fear. So it says to complain and argue about small matters, right? It says to complain or argue about small matters, and then it could be used as noun and verb. A quibble is a small argument or fight, right? We were also talking about a squabble earlier, right? The squabble. So quibble is same. So quibble is small argument or fight. As a verb, it means to pick a mini fight, right? To pick a mini fight over something that doesn't really matter. So if we talk about fighting over burger, fighting over a chocolate, that really does not matter a lot, right? So let's not quibble over price if somebody is saying that, right? If shopkeeper, etc., they would be the people who would say this. Let's not quibble over price. So people will say usually when they plan to gouge you, right? So uh, when they are gouging, right, they want to come to you, right? When they want to come to you, they want to sell their product. So let's not quibble over price. So we can have a sentence created here. He spent the entire evening quibbling about the historical inaccuracies in the television series on World War II. So, quibbling, that means to speak or to fight, to complain about very small issues, small matters. Quibble. Quibble, squabble, both are same. Moving further, we have a word here, one picture. So it says that if you have to sit with your enemies, right? If you have to sit with your enemies in a row, what may finally start? So if you have to sit with your enemies in a row, because you're sitting with your enemy in a row, what may start? A row. 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 It sounds like cow, cow, and not as row or toe, toe, T O E, right? T O E. That row means a line, right? A queue, right? So this R O W, as pronounced, when pronounced as T O E, it would mean a queue, right? This queue. But when we say that it is like cow, pronounced as cow, right? Then it is a fight. Then it is a fight. Row is fight. So all these, what is happening here? There's a row, and what we see, between India and Pakistan, what we see between India and a row. So it talks about India and China, right? So disturbances, India and Pakistan, disturbances, right? This is a picture from our border area that we share with Pakistan, right? So near Amritsar. So can you name that border? The name starts with the W. The name starts with the W. Can you name that? Okay, so that is basically Wagha border, right? And because of the kind of fights or disturbances we have between India and Pakistan, all our flights, etc., they have to take a different route, right? So we do not cross or we do not enter the aerial space over Pakistan, right? So that is there. These people, we have Mayawati here, we have P. Chidambaram here, right? So this person is OAC, right? So admits Smriti Irani degree amidst Smriti Irani degree Rao. So Rao here is this Rao is a fight. This Rao, this entire Rao is a fight. Meet 10 highly qualified Indian politicians, etc. Something of this kind of comment that was there, and people started, discussing the profiles of different people, right? By the way, Smriti Irani at that time just simply asked that, okay, you name my religion, right? And I would leave the profession, right? I'll not remain a minister anymore. Although they were not able to answer, right? Anyways, as in, so this is a homework for everyone. Iranis, what religion do they have, right? So SJ answered Wagha border. Yes, that is Wagha border. So uh, her religion, Irani's religion is Zoroastrian. Zoroastrian, right? So that religion is right? Zoroastrian, right? So many of the people who belong to this religion, they are in Mumbai and in that area around Mumbai, Gujarat, Vadodara. In Gujarat, the southern part of Gujarat, there we have many of these Zoroastrian people, right? All these, who have surnames such as Batliwala, Daruwala, Bijan Daruwala, right? So they all are Iranis and they all belong to this Zoroastrian. In fact, Ratan Tata is also Irani and he also belongs to the same religion. Anyways, as in, we are not here to talk about religion. We are working on vocabulary. So, in an attempt to make it interesting, all these things are happening. So, Rao is the word. Rao, right? So when we pronounce ROW as a cow, it means a fight. But when we pronounce ROW as a toe, it means a queue, a line, right? That. So many interesting photographs. Can you guess whose photograph is being burnt here? In India and Pakistan. Sorry, below this. So look at this pen. So it is moving, and it reaches here, right? So the bottom corner on the right hand side, whose face could it be? Whose face is it? So this is Narendra Modi's face, right? Or picture that has been burnt here. So there are people who are initiating a row, right? Most probably this is a picture from Kashmir, right? When there were, all that disturbances are happening when India wanted to provide a statehood or wanted to do elections there, right? It is a picture from that time. So, Rao is the word, right? Rao is the word. It means quarrel and dispute. So, it is a noun. This is a noun. So, Rao means a noisy argument. But when you use it this way, right? When you use it this way, it rhymes with cow. That is what we were discussing, rather than the pronunciation that we have for toe, right? So, it is Rao. So we have here, he was engaged in a row with his classmates, that means a fight with his classmates, and made friends with seniors. So row also takes us to fight. So let's go further. We see here some very naughty children, right? So this child, what is that you can say for this child? Is this child angry, getting angry? And this one is turning little, he's trying to defend himself, right? He's turning defensive. By looking at his hands, we can say so. He is turning little defensive, right? So he is aggressive. Ultimately, what we can say is that between these two children, there is a fight, there's a fight which is going on between these two children, and we also see some words, letters, etc., alphabets here on the table. So scribble, right? So we have a question, and these girls, what they're doing, you know they are trying to snatch this teddy bear, right, or this panda from each other, right? So they're fighting for toys. These boys, if we look at these boys inside the car, one is crying. This boy is crying, right? And this one is probably irritating him. One in the blue t-shirt, right, is irritating the another one. So, from this picture, right, where we have this arc drawn, right, where we have this arc drawn from this picture, if we go to this, right, we have, are these kids quarreling over scribble? So answer is yes. Can such a quarrel be considered very serious? No, that quarrel would not be considered very serious. And this is the word which we have already done, right? So let me take you to that word which we have done earlier, right? We have done that word earlier, and the word is, uh, this is the place where we did that word. Here we did that word. Here, squabbling, right? We did the word here. So whatever that I wrote, it went away, right? So I thought that I would be able to find whatever that I wrote earlier here. Anyways, so the word is squabble. So this is squabble, right? The word is squabble. It means to argue noisily about every unimportant detail, right? It means to argue noisily, right? So that means fighting, right? Fighting again, right? So fighting about very unimportant detail, all right? Very unimportant detail. So it says a squabble is a fight, but not necessarily a serious one. When we squabble, we have a little argument, probably about something not too important. All right, so that is squabble. We can say here we have a sentence which says that frightened by noise of the squabble, the cat hid under the couch. So the cat got frightened by that fight, that noisy squabble, and it got hid himself under the uh, couch. All right, so let's go to the next word. Let's see what we have. Oh, these children, right? So these children. So again, here we see that there are two very cute children, cute girls who are here. So one is crying, one is crying. Another is another one has a smile, and they have something that they are trying to snatch, right? These boys are also snatching something, here they are snatching something. And what is that they're snatching? Here we can see that very clearly. They're snatching tiffin, right? A tiffin box. So the question is, are these kids quarreling over tiffin? Yes, they are quarreling over tiffin, right? Can such a quarrel be considered very serious? No, that would not be considered very serious. But from this tiffin, we get one word that is tiff. The word is tiff. So tiff also takes us towards fight, right? Fight, and let's read what we can learn further, uh, for this word. So it says that it is a quarrel about petty points. Petty, that means not very serious points. So tiff, so we are trying to learn this from tiffin, right? Tiffin. So, like any couple, they occasionally tiff, but it's never anything serious, right? So, couples, the fight that generally happens. So whenever you are with your friend or anyone as well, right, fight may occur, but that would not remain for long, right? It does not remain anything serious, right? So that is tiff, right? So moving further, let's go to the question. Sorry, not the question. We have next topic here. So such an interesting thing here. So it says in this picture, right, is the muscle power leading to a disorderly fight, right? Muscle power leading to a disorderly fight. So if you look at this zebra, it is applying its muscle power, or and here we have a lion, right? We see a lion here. So we see that there is muscle, right? Muscle, and with this muscle power, we have some disorder. Here we have some animal which has come out on the road, right? There is a man here, and now there is going to be a real ruthless situation that this animal may create. Here again, we see this eagle or vulture, right? So probably this eagle or vulture has snatched food of this jackal, right? This jackal. So may again the fight would happen. It says here in this one, in this picture, it's time to get food fight messy, right? So there is Tomatino, right? There is Tomatino, one celebration. In which country do we have this Tomatino? Tomatino belongs to which country? Any answers about Tomatino? So Tomatino belongs to anyone who wants to answer Tomatino. Which country whose Tomatino or this celebration belongs to? It belongs to a country. Its name starts with S. Its name starts with S and ends with N, right? Ends with N, and it has how many alphabets? It has total of five alphabets. So can you guess the name of the country? So here as well in this pic we see that there is a fight. Muscle power has been used. With muscle we can go to a word that is tussle, right? Tussle, tussle, right? Tussle and muscle, right? Tussle, muscle, and we can remember the word, right? And there'll be disorderly fight. There'll be a lot of chaos, etc., that would occur because of tussle, right? A tussle. All right. So Tomatino, that's your homework to find out to which country does it belong to. So we have tussle here, and we can say that it is a short fight in order to get some something, right? Disorderly fight. So here we have one sentence. The suspect was arrested after a tussle with a security guard, right? Tussle after a with a security guard. So that's a tussle. Moving further, oh, we have again people fighting here, right? So if we say, let's consider that these two boys, right? This boy here, one, he's student one, right? Student one, and this is student two, right? So what kind of enmity do they show? And if they are only children, will we say that it is going to be very serious? Will it last for a very long time? It will not last for a very long time. But yes, they are fighting badly here, right? They are fighting badly, as in, so are the students fighting here? Answer is yes. Do they look confused? Yes. Would it last for a short period? Answer is yes. Right. Here we have one pic that is from JNU. Right. And this happens to be, I believe, Kanhaiya Kumar. These people as well here, they are fighting. Right. So with this, we get that. These students, they are fighting with each other and they look to be uh, very aggressive at each other. So we may have a word such as, so I'm just trying to answer here. All right, so I'm so sorry for that pause, right? So we have here these two students fighting, and they are seriously fighting here, right? And we also see that they are turning irascible here, right? They are turning irascible, right? That means they are fighting and they are turning angry with this. So let's go further to the next one. So it says that if you allow your enemy to introduce himself after white flag is unfurled, would you fight with him? Right? Would you fight with your enemy when you have unfurled this white flag? So most probably we'll say that no, we will not fight with the enemy, right? After we have unfurled the uh, this white flag, right? So we see what we see here is uh, what we see here is a white flag, right? That's what we see, and we see India and Pakistan flags here. We also see something written here. So it says ceasefire. It says ceasefire, right? So if you allow your enemy to introduce himself in your country, right? So he wants to come, right, to your country. So would and you have unfurled a white flag. So of course we will not fight with him, and for this we'll say that The word would be truce. So we can say that we can remember the word just with these pictures. Truce, right? Introduce, right? You can say introduce, truce, right? So those sounds. As such, I would say that mnemonics do not always turn into, you know, or mnemonics provided by one person, right? So if you create your own mnemonics, probably they would work, but they do not always work if those mnemonics have been provided by someone else to you. So, you know, there are some people who say that it works, so that's perfectly fine, right? So truce is ceasefire. Ceasefire, that means will now not fight, right? Will not fight with the person after ceasefire truce agreement has been signed. So if truce agreement has been signed, okay, so what we read here is that it says an agreement between enemies or opponents to stop fighting for a period of time. So ceasefire. So India and Pakistan many times they sign this agreement, right? Ceasefire agreement. There was also one train that was run between India and Pakistan, and termed that as Samjhota Express, right? That train, right? That train. So now it is not there, right? It has been stopped. Samjhota Express, right? So because of because of the recent disturbances here in our relationships with the neighboring country, so it says here when two warring sides decide to call it quits, it's called a truce. That is a truce, an agreement to end the fighting. That is an agreement to end the fighting. That is truce, right? Truce agreement, right? So we can say that that is a ceasefire. So here as well, there are other mnemonics which have been given. So you can relate the word truce with juice. So you give juice to people whom you welcome, right? So you give a juice to people who are fighting so that it stops for some time and they can discuss over it, right? So truce, ceasefire. We have one sentence here that says that there has been an uneasy truce between her and her parents for the past several months, right? Uneasy truce, right? Truce is ceasefire, right? It means all the words which we have done today, they are related to fight. They are related to fight. Moving further, let's see what we have here. So it says, is this man going to be fair by selecting the man who he likes? Right. So here what we see is that he likes someone, right? He likes this kind of man, and though similar kind of images are there in his eyes as well. Here in his eyes. So therefore, he is going to turn biased, right? He is going to turn biased. It means now we are moving towards another kind of idea, and that idea is going to be bias, right? That idea is going to be bias. So we are moving towards the idea bias. So let's look at what we have here. So it says biased here, right? Biased. So it says having tendency to show favor towards or against a group of people, making unfair judgments. So when a skirt is cut at an angle with one side higher than the other, right? It has a bias cut, right? It has a bias cut. Right. So being biased is, you know, to be not fair, right? To be not fair. That is, Kumar Pranav Deep is saying N at 719. So that N was, were you talking about that nation, etc.? I was talking about Tomatino and which country, hosts Tomatino. So the country is, its name starts with S and ends with N. It has five alphabets in total, including S and N. All right. So, so if you get the name of the country, you can type in the comment box. Otherwise, that's going to be your homework, right? So that's Tomatino, hosted by one country. You have to get the name of that country. So what we get here is that the prefix by, it means to, right? By is the to. It's a simple word as such, right? So bias is, uh, to be opposite for each other. Bias. So here it says that employers must consider all candidates impartially and without bias, right? So that is bias. So let's move to the next word. What we see here is that there are 51 religions given to us. 51 religion icons. So I was also talking about Zoroastrian. So are you able to see this eagle kind of symbol? This eagle kind of symbol. This is for Zoroastrians, right? So there are 51 symbols which are shown here, right? Different religions, and then there are people who are fighting here, right? Over Gita and Quran. So it says, the comment says, people fighting in the name of Gita and Quran are the ones who have never read it, right? So there are people who fight for Quran, or there are people who fight for Gita, right? They are the ones who have never read these two holy books, right? They have never read these two holy books. Here we see that there is some kind of race thing. So this person, right, has different color. This another one, this one has different color. This one, right? So they are now again, uh, so they are again belonging to different races, etc. So they would be favoring one kind of race, one kind of opinion, right? So we are saying that favoring favoring one kind of opinion, it can be religion, it can be race, it can be gender. So favoring one kind, right? Favoring one kind. So with that, we will say that there is a word, when you see this God, right? God. So of course you can think about religion, etc. with this. So the word is bigot. Bigot, right? T is there, right? T. So you can remember this word with God, right? So the moment you have the word God and you think about someone who's biased, right, and keeping, say, a certain idea at the top and thinks, you know, wrong or bad about people from other cultures or races or religions, etc., that person is bigot, right? So we say the person is bigot. So let's look at uh, the word here further. So it says a person who has very strong, unreasonable beliefs or opinions about race, religion, etc., and doesn't accept others' opinion, right? So he doesn't accept others' opinion, so he is a bigot, right? So it says that it is a noun, and it could also be adjective, right? Of course the tone is negative. So it says a bigot is someone who doesn't tolerate people of different races or religions. If you have an uncle who is a bigot, right, and tells racist jokes at Thanksgiving, right? So it is wrong as such, to tell a racist joke. So you may need to talk to him and tell him it's not okay. Right? Do not do so. It's not okay. Right? So don't cite or don't tell racist jokes. So we have here one sentence. It says he was labeled a bigot after making some offensive comments. So the person made some offensive comments and then he was labeled as bigot. So you can remember the word by remembering God, God, God. So there were 51 religions that we looked at, right? Races, etc. All this. So we can remember this word bigot, Bigot. Right. There are many other words here, right? So you can simply have a look at these. I would further come back to you with more words, with pictorial representation. So before I, you know, close today's session, I just want to revise all the words which we have done. So we have here God. With God, we are trying to remember bigot, right? Bigot, bigot, right? So to be biased. Biased itself is a biased, right? So this kind of picture would help us. And truce, juice, introduce, right? So with all those words, we have truce with this white flag, ceasefire. We can think about truce agreement, truce, ceasefire. We have these irascible crowd here. I mean, irascible students. They are turning very angry, right? They look confused, and probably they'll not remain like that after some time. There's one word that starts with S here, right? But that is missing from my mind at the moment. I'll let you know further in the days to come or in the classes. So tussle here. So tussle, we remember this with the muscle power, muscle, right? Uh, so muscle, with that sound of a muscle, we can go to tussle. We have tiffin. With the tiffin, we can remember tiff. So fight over something very small, non-serious things. So tiffin, tiff, Tiff. We have these children fighting over these, alphabets, and we can say that it is a squabble, a squabble, Squabble, squabble. This word, so row. If you are sitting with your enemies in a row, right? So that row. So row is again a fight. Then this quibble, right? Question and babble, right? Question and babble, quibble. And then we have me versus Bruce Lee, melee. Melee is again a fight. Melee is again a fight, right? Then we have fraud and scam. With that, we are trying to remember fracas, right? Fracas with fraud and scam. We have less content to support, so that is going to give us a word contend, Contend, contend. We have combat, right? Combat, right? Combat, a professional fight. So fighting a war is combat. Then we have Bilal. So we have Shahid Kapoor's a picture here, right? Kabir Singh, and we can remember the word brawl. 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 We have this biker and a car owner. And with biker, we can remember the word bicker, 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 fight again. And then we have this tailor who is doing the alteration with the word alteration. We can remember the word altercation. So that's all for today from my side, and we'll meet again, right, to discuss more some of the very important things, right? Uh, and Let me just check something, right? And I would tell you that. All right. So with altercation, right? With altercation, we are able to remember the word fight, right? And let me just take you to this particular thing. So these are the timings: 10 a.m., 2 p.m. for regular courses. For special classes, we meet at 12:30 and 10 p.m. And YouTube sessions we do at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Right? So that's all from my side for today, and I sign off and see you again in the next class. Till then, goodbye. Work very, very hard and enjoy the winters. Right. Bye bye.